Hey everybody, today I'm going to be doing a field test of the Emberlit Biomass stove that I recently got, and I'll confess I've used it a couple times, but I wanted to do a video of it, mainly for my friend Kendall, who has got one also, and from whom I expect extensive field testing of his own. But I'm going to go ahead and do this and talk a little bit about how this thing works. So I'll talk while I work. This is what's known as a biomass stove, which means that it burns natural materials. Things like wood, leaves, sticks, things that you would put in a typical campfire. However, you could also use it to burn charcoal, heat tabs. You could burn, you could put a sterno in it, use it for that. You could also, an alcohol canister, any kind of thing like that, you certainly could. But the nice thing about it is, you don't have to. You certainly don't have to, because as you can look, you can see all around me, just sitting here in my backyard in North Carolina on a mild December day, there's plenty of what's known as biomass available. So, anyway, now, I like this because I like an open fire. I like a campfire. I like the idea of one, but in practicality, campfires aren't always the best. For one thing, sometimes they're restricted. You're in a national park or in a wilderness area where they just don't allow it, and so you have to carry some type of a stove. Well, problem solved here, because this is considered a camp stove, and this fits the bill. Unlike most of your other camp stove options, though, there's no fuel bottles to carry, no generators to fill, no fuel bottles that once they run out of fuel, they're just now empty things you have to carry that serve no purpose. So it's very nice for solving that problem. Unlike some of the other biomass stoves that I've seen, I like this because this one actually folds up. I'm going to go ahead and light this, and I'll talk a little bit about it folding up. Okay, here's my one match. I'm going to put it in this hole in the front here. Okay. Alright. Got a little bit of smoke going, so that's a good sign. This is made of stainless steel. There's also a titanium version. This is very light. It comes apart in 5 separate pieces that go in this pouch. This thin, tiny pouch that actually fits in my back pocket. So, as far as size, space, and weight, this is great. Even some of the other biomass stoves that weigh the same, they don't fold up, they don't come apart, so they may be about as big around as this cup here, but they don't fold up, so they have a little bit bigger amount of space they take up. This one actually folds up and go in your pocket, easily in a backpack, in a bug out bag, in a purse, in a glove compartment. However you would see fit to carry it, you could really carry one of these easily. So I really like that. As opposed to a traditional campfire, most of us build too much of a campfire. We've got this great big fire, because you have to build a lot of fire to basically do just whatever it is you want to do. And you end up with a fire that takes up a lot of space, it requires a lot of wood, and makes your pots black, and you can't sit next to it, and there's smoke everywhere and all that. Nice thing about this one is, once it gets going good, you've got a small flame and a small area that retains and holds in the heat. It's very efficient, because it's basically like carrying your own portable wood stove. It draws air in through these holes, the flames and the smoke come out the top, and it's all contained within this. As you see, I can sit real close to it and get my hands warm, and it works wonders. Really nice for the idea of no trace or low impact camping, because you don't have to build this great big fire ring. It's not going to make a big bald spot on the ground where your flame was. It's very nice as far as being able to make a fire and walk away from it without anybody knowing that you ever had a fire there. Putting out a little bit of smoke today as it's getting going, but you'll see once it gets going real well, there's hardly any smoke at all. And that's a real good concern for the prepper, survivalist community who may want to use something like this. It's really nice because, as you can see now, the smoke is disappearing. You've got flame, you've got heat, you've got the ability to cook, but you don't have a great big giant bonfire that people can see from miles away. You also don't have a whole lot of smoke broadcasting, hey look, there's somebody here. So that's really nice. Nice thing about it is as well, like I said a minute ago, once you're done with it, you pack it up, you leave, and there's not really any sign that you were ever there. There's not a big fire ring left behind. There's not a big bare spot on the ground. Alright, so now you see that we actually got a nice good fire burning. So I'm just going to sit here and fill a little bit more wood in the top. Now what I'm going to do as well, one of the other features is this hole here in the front that I lit it is also a good port for putting wood in. And you'll notice as well the wood that I'm using is all wood that I have collected and gathered and broken by hand. So absolutely no need to spend a lot of time cutting wood, sawing wood, harvesting wood, gathering wood, because it doesn't require great big pieces of wood for one thing, and it's very efficient with the wood that you do put in here, so you just don't need a whole lot. Okay, so as you can see, I'm able to get real close to this. I'm able to work with it real good. Now, got my cross members here. I'm going to put these on. Take this big piece of wood here and just kind of tap it down, because now I'll take my nice trusty camp cup, put it on here, and I'm going to let it start to do its job. Put another rock right here just to make sure I got a good stable place to put it on. Speaking of stability, this stove is very strong. All I've got on here is a cup right now, but it's sturdy enough. I've actually taken a big pot and set on top of it. You could put even a Dutch oven on there. It's very sturdy. Once you put it together, once you assemble it, it's not flimsy, it's not floppy at all. It's actually quite sturdy. So I really like it, and I'm really impressed with it. As my water is sitting here starting to heat up, and it's already starting to bubble, so I think it should boil real soon. But I can sit here, I can put my hands around it, and because the metal actually heats up and radiates heat, like I said, it's like a wood stove, so I can sit here and it keeps my hands warm. So I have been sitting here now for maybe about 15 minutes. I could have gotten out of my sleeping bag, gathered a few sticks, built this fire, and I'm already sitting here now with my hands warm, my body warm, with water to make coffee or tea or whatever my breakfast is going to be. I could already be doing that. I could have just arrived at camp, sat down, put my pack down, unpack this, and already have a fire going and be ready to warm up with a nice something hot to eat, nice cup of cocoa as I'm putting up camp. So I really like that. And I don't have the smell of fuel that I spilled while I was pouring it from one bottle to the next. No sitting here having to pump up a fuel cylinder or hook it up. I really like it. Other sources I've heard online have said that this boils water in about 6 to 6.5 minutes, which is pretty good. Most stoves don't do much better than about 3, most fuel stoves. So I don't consider that a very long time at all. And then the nice thing about it is as well is, you know, while you're using it, you're sitting here warming your hands. So it's just like sitting by a campfire, except much, much more. Disadvantages, I can't really think of anything specific to this stove itself. Cost was about $45, which I think is good. You can find all kinds of options for making what they call a hobo stove, which is in essence what this is, out of old coffee cans, out of dish strainers, things like that. There are lots of options for that. And I'll say those are probably good options, and you can probably do them a lot cheaper. The only drawback I would see to those is they don't disassemble and fold like this does. Also, a coffee can is not going to be made out of stainless steel or titanium, so over time it would degrade. You'd have to go get another coffee can and punch holes in it and make it. This one comes, it's already made, and like I said, this is a big feature, folding it up and putting it in that you just won't get with a coffee can. Some of the things just related in general to having fires, as you can see my cup is already all black and sooty. That's a disadvantage. The fact that, you know, there's always the chance that an errant spark or a coal may start a forest fire. Any of the principles that you would use with any other fire you still have to use them. You have to be sensible about a fire out in the woods. Beyond that's really it. This takes all the best features of fire and makes it work. And this water is really starting to roll. It's not quite at a boil yet, but it's going to be there soon. This thing's really putting off a good amount of heat too. Here comes the boil. Goes.